It is now 5:30 p.m. and I call to order the Grand Island Public Schools Board of Education meeting. This is the November 11th, 2021 meeting. Notice of this meeting has been advertised in the Grand Island Independent, which is the district's designated method of giving notice of these meetings. We want those in attendance to know that the copies of the Open Meetings Act are available at the entrance to the boardroom. If anyone is in attendance is interested in addressing our board, you are welcome to do so. We simply request that you complete the appropriate form and turn it in to us so that you may be recognized during the request to address the board part of our meeting. If you have not already completed the form, please see the staff person outside the entrance to this room. Public comment is welcome. We do ask that no signs be brought into the boardroom. Mrs. Simmons, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Hinkle?
Present.
Mrs. Albers?
Present.
Mr. Brown?
Present.
Mrs. Jurgens?
Present.
Mr. Barsonis?
Yes.
Mr. Hawley?
Here.
Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
Dr. Brose?
Present.
Mr. Helensky?
Here.
Thank you. For our mission statement tonight, we would like our student representative, Isabella, to read that for us.
Every student, every day, a success. In educating students, we teach hearts as well as minds.
And you can read the whole thing.
Within the school district of Grand Island, every student has access to high-quality, culturally responsive, and engaging learning environments. Every student will develop a literacy skills across disciplines. Every student is socially and emotionally equipped to thrive in school and in life. Every student will graduate as a college, career, and community-ready citizen.
All right, thank you very much. We will move on to agenda 4, which is our consent agenda. And on the consent agenda, we have minutes from the previous month's meeting. 4.2, which is the acceptance of agendas from the standing committees, including the Finance and Facility Committee, Leading and for Learning Committee, Personnel Committee, Policy Committee, Public Relations and Partnership Development Committee, and Governance Committee. 4.3 are the claims as submitted. 4.4, staff adjustments as submitted. 4.5, treasurer's report as submitted. 4.6 are contracts, agreements, and MOUs, which includes 4.6.1, annexation agreement between Grand Island Public Schools and Grand Island Northwest Public Schools. 4.7 is the policies, included 7.1, which is 1310, non-discrimination on final read. 6215, bullying and harassment for staff on final read. 3411, equal opportunity and affirmative action on final read. 8455, bullying and harassment for students on final read. And 4.8 is the approval of agenda as submitted. Just a minute. This is a consent agenda as published. Would anyone like to remove any items or add any items to the consent agenda? Does anyone have potential conflict of interest on agenda item 5.2? If so, please state the check number that you will be abstaining from voting on. Mr. Barsonis.
I abstain from voting on check number 78890, but I approve all other items submitted on the consent agenda as presented.
Mrs. Jurgens.
I abstain from voting on check number 78892, but I approve all other items submitted on the consent agenda as presented.
Mr. Brown.
I abstain from voting on check number 78891, but approve all other items submitted on the consent agenda as presented.
Mr. Helensky.
I abstain from voting on check number 78893, but approve all other items submitted on the consent agenda as presented.
Mrs. Albers.
I abstain from voting on check number 78889, but approve all other items submitted on the consent agenda as presented.
And would you like to make a recommendation?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
And is there a second? Second, Mr. Barsonis. Please vote. Sorry about that. Motion passes.
Nice save.
All right. Sorry about that. Let me get back here. Agenda item 5 is campus highlights, and we're going to start with 5.1 Bar Veterans Day Program.
Good evening. Yeah. Good evening, I'm Josue Covarrubias, the principal at Barr Middle School, and with me tonight is Mr. Jason Weaver, who is one of our eighth grade teachers in social studies. We're going to present a little bit of information tonight regarding our Barr Veterans Day program, which was today, by the way. I'll let him begin.
Hi, as Josue said, I'm Jason Weaver, eighth grade social studies teacher at Barr. I've been there, this is my 21st year at Barr. For about 20 of those, we've had a Veterans Day program that our eighth grade puts on at Barr. We call it Honor a Veteran program, and started by Greg Morrow, who's now at the high school, as most of you know. Our program, our history behind it basically is that we want to make sure that the students get a chance to recognize veterans that are in their own lives. It's not just we stand up there and tell them what they should believe about Veterans Day, but the key is that they go home and talk to their parents about and their families about veterans in their own lives. We've had several, prominent speakers, I guess. Chuck Hagel spoke one year, and Tom Osborne spoke one year. But it's better, in my opinion, when it's people that the kids know or are in the community that they can actually establish, oh, you were a veteran? I didn't know. I didn't know you served. And so that's kind of the purpose behind the program. And Secretary of State John Gale, previous Secretary of State, is actually on the Secretary of State website as the model program for the state of Nebraska. So been doing it quite a while. And so, like I said, our goal, and this is the part that floors me every year, our goal is to actually have kids go home and ask their families, do we have any veterans in our families or our friends or our neighbors? They're shocked that they do sometimes, and those conversations I think are maybe more important than the ceremony itself. We had a girl come back this year, and Mr. Weaver, I didn't know, but my great-grandpa was one of the people that liberated the concentration camp at, it was the one I hadn't heard of. And they're also reading Anne Frank right now in language arts class. And so, the connections that kid has now made to what they're reading is amazing. Another kid went home, called his uncle that he hadn't seen in a couple years in Missouri. And the uncle said, oh, Veterans Day, I can come up for that. Maybe I haven't visited you guys in a while. So, now they're here for a week just to come to this, hour-long program. So those conversations, I think, are as important as anything. But we also obviously want to show them, how to properly honor people who have served and understand those sacrifices. I know Mrs. Schnitzler, any other veterans in here today? I just want to publicly thank you for your service. That's okay. So yeah, we had it today. It went well. Had quite a few veterans and community members come.
Here's just some pictures. You can see the top row are just previous programs that we have had. We didn't have a program last year because of COVID, so we were really excited. Our kids were really excited to be able to have that opportunity. And the 3 pictures on the bottom are from this morning. So the Air Force Junior ROTC typically comes in and presents the colors. Our 8th grade band plays the national anthem as well as the Armed Forces March. And then we have speakers, right, and different presentations that are along the way. One of our speakers today was Mr. Justice Hatfield, who's one of our art teachers in our building. So kind of a cool thing for our kids to see our own staff, coming from that perspective. And as Mr. Weaver said, I think the big thing that happens is those conversations, right? That kids are able to connect, that these things that they're learning in school have connections to actual people, and sometimes it's people in their own lives. And then obviously, you know, the ability to be able to thank those people publicly in person, and be able to just have kids interact with those community members and family and friends. That's all we have.
Yes, thank you. As my children both went through bar, and it was one of the highlights of their 8th grade year. And it was a great program then, and I'm sure it still is now. So thanks for continuing it. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Very appropriate for this month. Worked out good. All right. So moving to 5.2, Howard Elementary's experience with the FEV tutoring. You have a crew. And thank you for your service. I didn't know that you were in the service, so thank you very much.
Welcome, thank you. And Mrs. Schnitzler actually had a program in her building today as well. And I've been to a couple of the programs that they've had in their building, and it's always pretty amazing. And the kids get so excited because they do have some relatives that end up showing up as well, and it's just a big celebration. They love to see her in her uniform and all that stuff. So, I mean, they're not going to talk about that actually, but it would have been.
But we do have it on Facebook, our Howard Facebook page. So if you want to see some of the footage from it, check out Howard Facebook.
Very good. And I know last month or the month before, I can't remember, Mr. Hauser actually prepared a presentation on how they're implementing FEV tutoring to support students. And we have several of our Title I school buildings are actually implementing. Mrs. Schnitzler and the Howard team they were the first ones to dive into it. And I think they're just going to share a little data with you tonight. So.
Yep, exactly. So I'm Julie Schnitzler, principal at Howard Elementary, and just really proud of the 3 teacher leaders that I brought tonight. When we started this program, our 4th and 5th graders were up and running by September 20th, and our 3rd graders started the week after parent-teacher conferences. So just really excited for our kids to have the opportunity, and these teacher leaders were really instrumental in that. So they'll introduce themselves as they're come up to speak.
First, I think I should have to switch things. Arrow, sorry. Technology's not the thing. I'm Amy Anderson. I'm a 4th grade teacher at Howard. And the FEV tutoring, I just want to tell you that when we started this out, we only had like a few kids. We wanted to start small just because we weren't sure. And now, as you can see, we have a lot of kids coming. And they love it. All of the 3rd grade teachers, both 4th grade teachers and then 5th grade teachers, as well as a special ed teacher, are actually working the program. So we meet Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 3:30 to 4:30, and the kids are loving it. So.
I'm Jackie Caldwell. I am 3rd grade this year, which is really exciting. I want to share students' thoughts with you guys because being a teacher, you know, the most important thing and the most exciting thing is to see the kids being excited about something, especially staying after school. So you can see some of the quotes there, word for word what they say. So, and just a little video here. These are some 3rd graders who were very excited also when I told them today that I was going to show this to you guys. So they think they're pretty famous.
If I ever need help, I can like tell the person that I need some help and then they'll help me. And then it becomes a little bit easier with someone else by my side to help me with doing that and that. I like the tutors that talk with you because they're so fun to talk with math. And the math we study is 8 times something or story problems. And then if we need help, we can ask them to make it easier for us.
I love about tutor is that teachers teach us after school. We get more smarter. Like I work on some times. It like helps you learn more about math and the same, and that sometimes tutoring are so nice or everybody's nice and I like
that tutors are good for us because they show us like things that we don't know still. Tutoring is really helping us learn more, and like it's helping us getting better at math and like helping us doing what we need to be helped.
Sorry, the sound wasn't very good on that last one, but you can tell they're very excited and they love to stay after. They ask me every day, do we have tutoring today? And of course, we only do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, so we're still working on the days of the week. But they're very excited when they find out that they get to stay.
You mean the hard part? All right. There we go. All right, and I am Jason Wiesman. I am 5th grade at Howard, and I'm going to just show you some of the data that we've received from the tutoring program. So as you can see on here, this is as of Monday morning. We get weekly reports from them. The first thing is that we've had 58 total students participating. There have been 415 total lessons that students have completed, and 598 scheduled lessons. So some of those are just from students that have missed for whatever reasons. And then 47 total on-demand lessons, and we've had about a 70% attendance rate of the students that are signed up. The graph that you see in the top right corner that we received today, at the end of each lesson, students are to complete an exit ticket with their tutor just to verify that they've hit the target of whatever lesson that they're working on. And as you can see, 80% of our students have been meeting the exit ticket requirements, and the national average is 73%. So our students at Howard have been exceeding that so far, which is exciting to see.
So just to finish off our presentation, our next steps, we'll take the NSCAS growth in December, and so our PLCs will be looking at our NSCAS data and correlating it with the students who have been participating in the after-school program to see what kind of growth or difference it has made in their learning by using the after-school tutoring program. And then those PLCs will be discussing that data and talking about next instructional steps, as well as are there any extra interventions or extra learning opportunities that those students would benefit from. And I don't know that we mentioned that is both in reading and math, that those kids are receiving that extra learning. So that concludes our presentation. Are there any questions that we could answer?
Mr. Helinski.
I got 2 questions for you. I love this program, by the way. I love this idea. It's hard to get kids excited about staying after school, I believe you said. What are some of the things you're doing that are getting these kids to stay after school? I mean, obviously you say, hey, do you want to come and read a book? I mean, that's, to a 2nd, 3rd grader, 4th grader, they're going to go, no, I don't.
Good question. So because the program is on the computer, first of all, they love computers. And the other exciting thing that they like is they get to interact with somebody that they don't really know, but they have the conversations with them and they're not afraid to ask for help because they can type it in. I don't understand. So I think that gets them excited. Also, we have snacks.
Oh.
So that's pretty important.
I would just add that our teachers model, yeah, let's do this, this is good for kids. Our teachers model that. They didn't hesitate. When I asked this, I was like, oh, I hope I can get some help. Hope teachers are willing to do this. And not only were they, but their teacher teams were. And I think they just model that we get involved and we want you to do this. And so the kids just follow suit. So I just give credit to the teachers at Howard for really creating some excitement around it. So the teachers want to be, or so the students want to be a part of it.
Awesome.
Okay. And you just answered my 2nd question, so thank you very much.
Mrs. Albers.
I'm sure that you've seen a growth in confidence in these kids during the regular class day. Can you just speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, especially when they've done like a skill with their tutor that maybe they haven't done, and then we have it in class, it's like, oh my gosh. And they think they're super special because not everybody's getting that extra help, so then they feel like the superstar. So yeah, definitely a lot of confidence builder.
Dr. Burrows.
We have a lot of acronyms up there. You want to tell us what FEV stands for?
We just call it after-school tutoring because that's just really explains what it is, and we all understand that. So it's after-school tutoring.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Mrs. Albers?
Is there an end in sight to this, or will you keep doing this? What are the parameters to keep it happening?
I really think it is going to hinge on what the data shows us about the students' learning. And then once we see that data, then we can make our next steps or next decisions. I would also say looking at attendance rates, and that would be key too. So we'll be watching just those data points. And Blair Husted, who is our representative, and we work with her, just really easy to work with, responds quickly, helps us address questions. And these teachers knew nothing about the program. I'm like, hey guys, we're gonna start this new program. I don't know anything about it, you don't know anything about it, kids don't know anything about it, but we're gonna do this. And they're like, okay. And Blair was a great help in sending some videos and getting us some things to get us started. And so I just really, this was just ground up, teachers learning and teaching themselves, and then Blair assisting as we needed. So just lots of kudos to these teachers who have made this happen for kids.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wolf?
I just have a quick question in regards to transportation. So if the students are staying later, is there an additional bus if they need it? Or are parents, guardians, family members, etc., picking them up? How's that working?
So when we created a parent permission form, we put on there, how will your student get home? Will we wait for a ride or will they walk? Just so that we know who to encourage to start walking and who to know to wait with. And we do not have any transportation systems for students to come to Howard nor leave. And so parents are committed to coming at 4:30 or finding rides for those kids. And so we've also talked to parents about if transportation is an issue, it's a very possibility they could do this at home. And I don't know that we've had anybody take us up on that yet, but that's not going to be an excuse not to participate. Transportation wouldn't be a reason. We would send their computer home and make an arrangement for them to do some of this at home.
Great. Thank you very much. We appreciate you taking time to be here with us tonight.
Yep, thanks for having us.
All right, we will move on to agenda item 6, which is request to address the board. I've not received any forms, so I don't think there are any. So we will skip agenda item 7 and move to, and 8, and move to agenda item 9, starting with the 2022-2023 calendar, Dr. Dexter.
Okay. All right. So we started in October with a Zoom meeting with all of our building reps. We have a calendar committee rep from each of our buildings. Just an awesome team. We Zoomed. I usually bring just a place to start calendar. This is our 13th draft. So we've gone back and forth and great discussion. We had several of our building reps who went back to their buildings. They did some informal surveys just to get feedback and to have that data to help drive our decisions. So this is the calendar that we are proposing. And just some talking points, you know, people always say, oh, well, you're starting so early. And actually, this year we started at August 11th, and next year's August 15th. So I feel a little better about that. And then our little bit of a difference is we will start on the 15th, which is a Monday. Typically, we start at the end of the week, but we'll start on a Monday with just kindergarten 6th and 9th, and we will have early dismissals for those students. And then 16th and 17th, we will have all students, and we will have early dismissal. On the 17th, no kindergarten students, and that gives the kindergarten teachers the opportunity to plan homogeneous groupings of students and to get the best group of kids to move forward for the year. And then 18th and 19th are full days, and that gives middle school and high school the opportunity to get into their A-B schedule. So that worked out. And we have the same breaks: Labor Day, fall, winter, spring, and April. Our last day is May 24th. And graduation is May 14th. And then the parent-teacher conference schedules are just the same as this year. And you can see the quarters and trimesters. We kept 170 and a half days for students, and we meet the 187-day teacher contract. So, any questions? All right, well, this is information tonight, and in December, we will ask for approval. I already have parents calling and asking for the calendar, so.
Oh, I'm sure, yes. They're probably all going to have seniors in 2023, right? Dr. Bros.
I'm on page 3 of the guidelines, and it says teacher planning and prep days will be provided for individual teacher preparation. Administrators may not schedule meetings on these days between 8 and 3:45 unless approved in advance by the superintendent. Do you ever get very many of those requests? Some of us are hearing that that's not a time that's being considered sacred. And so I guess I'm asking just how widespread are we having meetings during the time when we should be providing teacher planning and prep?
My feedback is that the plan and prep days are held sacred. The one that is in question is school improvement days. And so we put that into the guidelines and spelled that out, that there would be time for teachers to practice, apply, do some reflection and processing, so it's not just sit and get all day long. So that's the day we discuss the most, and that we changed in the guidelines to be really specific about what is this day. And this year we had some principals that they really felt the stress of their staff, so they changed up that school improvement day a little bit, but then others didn't. So there was some discussion back and forth about, why can't we do it like they did it, kind of thing.
Thank
But
you.
the school improvement day is really about building improvement.
And it has to be tailored to every school's needs. Now, the other question I have has to do on page 4, and it says October 2021, exchange junk jaunt with parent-teacher dates, purpose and why. Explain that a little bit.
Every year we talk about, can you just give us the junk jaunt Friday so that we can get out? And this year we did for our mental health day. But if we take that one off, what do we give up? And so it's just hard to get it in. But we discuss it every year, so.
Thanks, Dr. Dexter.
Who were the board members that were on the calendar committee? Okay. Do any of you have any comments about the process, or?
This is my first time being on the committee. I've been on others, and what we've heard before, just how I thought it was going to be really complicated, which I'm sure it is. The work that's behind it, there's a lot of work, a lot of conversations. I'm very impressed by how everything was handled. So that's me.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And you are next, I'm assuming, for the long-range plan for extracurricular activities.
Yep. Say that 3 times fast.
Nope. I was surprised I said it once.
And it's terrible because we've been using the acronym LRPE. So I'm trying to stay away from that. This is a 9-page document. I do not plan to read everything word for word, but really wanted to hit the first paragraph hard. The Grand Island Public Schools Strategic Plan On Track to Thrive 2025 incorporates the work and input of the GIPS community in the long-range plan for extracurricular excellence. Success Area 1 of On Track to Thrive addresses every student's access to high-quality, culturally responsive, and engaging learning environments to include extended learning opportunities such as athletic and fine arts activities. The Extracurricular Excellence Plan includes the need to identify and address barriers to student participation in ELOs such as equitable access and transportation. The goal is that every student participates in at least one extracurricular activity each year. And then the next paragraph just has some research that supports when students are involved, that does improve their academic progress. So then we took, we met last spring, 3 nights in the busiest time of the year, and we invited 80 people, and we'd have anywhere from 65 to 70 show up between parents, patrons, students, and then Ron Alexander, our consultant, just a really nice, laid-back kind of guy, and people just seemed to really connect with him and really open up and share and had some healthy discussion, dialogue. So he sent me his findings in late June and worked through July, August. Cindy Wells has been awesome. Dr. Lee really stepped in, hit the ground running. We really wanted to make sure we addressed athletics and fine arts. And so I took all of his findings and went through several different iterations of how to organize it. So this is the latest version. We have 8 goals. And then with each goal, there's an outcome. And then under each goal, there are tasks. So the first goal, establish and cultivate Islander pride to increase the number of students participating in extracurricular activities. And again, every student involved in at least one activity each year. Communication came up a lot and continues to come up. How do we find out about the activities that are offered? And so that will be, and it's the number 1 goal, is how do we communicate it out? How do we get students and families engaged? And one of the first ones that really people took to heart is designate all Fridays as Islander Fridays, and that's pre-K through 12, wear purple, be gold. And we just kind of sent out a reminder in the newsletter this week to say, hey, let's step it up, wear purple and be gold on Fridays. And then goal 2, cultivate and demonstrate equity across all programs by engaging students and families of color in extracurricular activities. Increase the number of students participating, identify the barriers, and then create communication channels specific to our families and students who English is a second language. And you will see this task at least 3 times throughout the document, just understanding of all cultures and the demographics that make up Grand Island. And how do we address and communicate and support and engage? We would like to use a student diversity council composed of representatives from extracurricular activities that weigh in on issues and topics affecting GIPS activities. We already have a HAC Student Leadership Council, we have the Student Advisory Council, so using some of those councils already existing to get that student voice. And again, increase the percentage of students from all demographic groups. Goal 3, include fine arts and athletic facilities needs in long-term district facilities planning. Improve and expand facilities to support extracurricular activities. And this came to light when we started girls wrestling. Our high school girls are practicing in the Islander Annex. We are out of space. We implemented some 6th grade intramurals. Walnut had to go at 6:30 to 7:30, 3 nights a week. And it's really hard to get kids back once they've left school. So we had about 10 kids participate at Walnut and even less at Bar. So again, the space is a huge issue for us. But girls wrestling, I hope you go to the fracas because there'll be a special time for girls to wrestle. Our middle school wrestling program is just exploding. So we have 47 at the high school right now. K-5 programming and offerings to align with Gips expectations, and again, alignment from kindergarten all the way up, so that when I go to be a 9th grader at senior high, I know the skills necessary to compete. And we'd like to use our after-school programs, summer programs, and really looking at staff to support those programs. And to develop those aligned, almost like aligning curriculum, but just the skills needed at each level. Develop a philosophy for a blended participation model at middle school level, competitive and intramural options. And this really came to light when we had the gentleman from the Simple Foundation, and I just asked, so how do you get the really competitive, ready to go, but still grow some of those kids that just aren't ready yet but could be ready? And he said they have the competitive league. I think he had 3 different labels, but then the students that were still growing and learning the skills, they could practice separately, but they could, when their skills develop, they could bump up into that competitive league. One of the things that I also learned from him is that we have A, B, C, D, E leagues in some of our schools at middle school level. They all get the same playtime, the same amount of coaching, the same court space. And what he had said is that when you have the kids that are competitive, ready to go, they need the coaching, they need more time on the court. So we need to take a look at that. But not to say you didn't make the cut, so you don't get to practice. And it's real split, very polarized amongst our middle school administrators and ADs about how we go that way. And then expanding the 6th grade intramural program. And again, the space has been really difficult at the middle school level to get that going. Develop a growth and evaluation tool for sponsors and coaches. And we administered surveys to our athletic programs. Dr. Lee will be working to administer those same kind of surveys in the spring to fine arts. But the Excel Sports survey, and it's a gentleman out of Omaha, but he works real closely with UNL Research Department and has a couple of books out, one of which I'm reading, and he's got some really good support. But we gave the survey to just the fall sports, and there are like 5 different areas, and we scored the lowest, still not as low as other schools, but our area to work on is connecting to students and psychological safety in the game. And he really talked about that how do you make those connections? How do you give praise or give constructive feedback without just ripping into a kid? So he has offered in the spring to come and meet with our coaches just to talk about what does that look like? How do you build connections, and how do you create that psychological safe environment? And so we'll continue those surveys through this year. And we'll bring the results to the board because it is really cool how they've organized it. And then goal 7, we're almost there. Evaluate barriers to participation. Identify and implement strategies to overcome barriers to engage in extracurricular activities. And we learned with the summer weight program and the girls wrestling team, t-shirts are everything. If you can get a t-shirt with a slogan that they can really buy into, kids will work for t-shirts. So just finding incentives. We talked about a traveling trophy to give to the area that had the most participation in summer camps over the summer, and so that we can celebrate that. But finding ways to celebrate. And then goal 8. Identify what success in extracurricular activities looks like for GIPS. And again, building a positive culture in each program that is welcoming, inclusive, and built upon positive and authentic relationships. Again, the reward summer strength and conditioning attendance. Reward the fine arts and athletic camps. And increase strength and conditioning attendance across all programs. And one thing I've learned about this process, and from our coaches and our weights and conditioning coach at the high school, and from Ron Alexander, you start at kindergarten with conditioning, and you teach kids how to build and develop skills and muscle and just muscle memory. So that's part of the alignment piece to develop, that kindergartners need to learn this, 5th graders, 8th graders, 9th graders. This also came up, identify need for additional activity directors. At senior high in comparable districts, they have at least 2 full-time activity directors with half-time directors. We have 1 full-time and about a third half-time at the high school, and they're just buried right now. Our middle school activity directors get 1 planning period for AD duties, and they just can't, what they're doing right now, and then to add all of this on, we've really got to look at the extra standard and where we want to be and what do we want to support. So, ESSER 3 funds. Be really upfront to carry all this off. We don't have the money to do it. If it weren't for ESSER 3 funds, we wouldn't be able to. And so we've got to, what we want to do is pilot, get some things in writing in place so that at the end of year 3, we can come to you and say, this is what works, and this is what we want to sustain, and this is what it's going to cost. But right now, we have approximately $1.5 million over 3 years out of the ESSER funds, and you can see to support the fine arts and after-school programs. Our team really wanted to focus on 3 through 8 right now, and making sure we get those programs up and running and go from there. We have developed coordinator job descriptions so that we could have a fine arts coordinator and an athletics coordinator to get those 3 through 8 after school and summer school programs going. So that was really quick, and again, this is information action for December. Really encourage you to read through the tasks and, does it make sense? Did we miss something? Really want and appreciate the feedback.
All right, does anybody have any questions? Dr. Bros.
Thank you for doing this. It's an amazing piece of work. I spent a good portion of this afternoon reading through all of this. And not being the athlete, but being more into the performing arts. I'll be anxious to see what kind of programs come up, not only for performing arts, but for visual arts as well, because that's an area that some kids will really excel in when they know they don't have the athletic ability to get on the basketball court or to play tennis or to do whatever. So I'm just know that there's at least one of us sitting around this table that really wants to hear what's going to happen with the fine arts, especially those performing and visual.
And Dr. Lee is on it. He's just been great.
Any other questions? I would agree, this took a lot of work, and we appreciate it. And we appreciate all the stakeholders, community members, parents, students, coaches, all the staff that was involved for putting the time into it, and anxious to see it get moving. And I'm glad we have the ESSER dollars to help us get it started. Mrs. Albers.
So I was in that meeting that we had, Robin, with a bunch of the coaches, and Dr. Lee was there over at the stadium, and it was very collaborative. There wasn't a them and us or any of that. Everybody was really trying to figure out the best way to get the kids involved in the activities that appealed to them, whatever that might be. And it was a good meeting.
Yeah, and there's been so many things that have already happened because of this, but just like girls volleyball, we're in the early playoffs, but they said, could we have a band? And so they pulled together a pep band real quick, and we haven't done that before. So just, like you said, working together and supporting each other. So, thank you.
Mrs. Jurgens.
Yep, I don't have a question. I just wanted to share that I am super excited about the equitable lens that we're using throughout all of this. The increased broad lens when we look at the entire, K through 12 experience, what this looks like, the conversation with coaches about positive enforcement and encouragement. I just feel like it hits on so many crucial points for our students' development, and I feel like it's going to pay off in dividends. So it's an amazing opportunity.
And I just
Thank you.
We can only get better, and so we've got the opportunity.
Yep. All right, thank you very much. All right, 9.3 is the fiscal year 2020-2021 audit report and annual financial report. Dr. Schroeder.
Howdy, folks.
Hi.
Each year, the school district is required to have an independent financial audit and file an annual financial report with the Nebraska Department of Education. Both the audit and the AFR were presented to the Finance and Facility Committee for review. Both the audit and the AFR were submitted to the Nebraska Department of Education and to the Nebraska Auditor of Public Accounts on time. Both items are attached to the agenda item electronically, and I have a small number of paper copies of the audit in back at my desk if any member of the public or a board member would like a copy. If board members, staff, or members of the public have any questions regarding the AFR or the audit, I'd encourage them to contact me. This month, the AFR and the audit are being presented as informational items. They'll be on the agenda in December for approval and to be filed. Do you have any questions I can answer for you right now?
There will be a pop quiz to see who read them.
Yeah, of course. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, 9.4 is the construction update. Mr. Petch. I almost always do that.
Thanks, Mrs. Hinkle. Just finishing up on the medical pathway drawings. So we should have those ready in December. So whenever we have the funding, we'll move that project forward. Been putting a lot of time into our ESSER projects that are coming up. Right now we're hitting the Gates project pretty hard, which would add a cafeteria, which they don't have, and then also make some changes with the office to make it a more secure entrance and things. Also looking at an addition onto the north side of senior high for their cafeteria and the band area. Again, needed space, social distancing kind of thing. Working on an HVAC project too, what would happen at Knickerum. And so those ones we're focusing on right now. We've got 2 years. We have approximately 10 projects that are going to be encompassed with our ESSER funds. And that's kind of it in a nutshell. I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, our student representative report. And do you want me to bring up the picture right away, or do you want me to wait? Okay. I will bring it up for you.
Football has come to an end after an amazing year. Cross country had 3 students go to state, including a freshman girl with 3 senior boys. Han Garcia plays for state. Isaac Trout and Tyler Fay had their signing yesterday for the University of Alabama and the University of Virginia. The girls' wrestling team had their first ever sponsor, Kent. I want to congratulate every student involved in the musical for their time and effort. I know one of my favorite parts were when they were all singing and dancing because it brought me the holiday cheer. There's a unified bowling invitational for varsity this Sunday. We're excited for the winter sports to begin. Student council experienced lots of feedback from students this month as we have new mental health days. Specifically, after discussing the topic of mental health, mentions of what mental health is and what we can do has been brought up more than in the last month. Collectively, as the Student Council was able to kick off a gratitude tree where students can write something they're grateful for. Students are able to write on a leaf and hang it up. Some of the leaves read as follows. I'm thankful that I made it this far. I'm thankful for my coworkers, coffee. My teachers who support me, and I'm thankful for the people in my life that push me. The tree is being used as a positive space in the school for students to come together.
Very cool.
For mental health, Student Council plans to hang up blank posters and equip students with markers to write positive things and motivational words entering the last week of school before break. Some students even took their concern for mental health to the next level and participated in QPR, Question, Persuade, and Refer training, which is a suicide prevention program that teaches students how to save lives in 3 steps. People trained with QPR learn how to recognize the warning signs of suicide crisis and how to question, persuade, and refer someone to get help. The training was via Zoom and lasted 90 minutes. We acknowledged and had plans to carry out more mental health activities. One of the projects that we have is having a college fair for mental health, with stations of having sleep pod stations, Zumba stations, yoga stations, comfort dog stations, coloring stations, journaling stations, dancing stations, and meditation stations. Unity Council was giving a bulletin board outside the West office. This month, the council focused on Transgender Awareness and Remembrance Day, as well as Native American Heritage Month. We plan to execute more information for students to feel welcome, appreciated, and respected in all aspects. Our next month's agenda plans to highlight International Migrants Day, Disability Day, and Abolition of Slavery Day. Unity Council was able to connect with Yolanda Nuncio and UNK to sponsor the Hispanic Heritage Display panels that are on loan at GISH to view and learn for students all through the month of December. National Honor Society volunteered at Project Connect, which connected homeless and the community together with services that are not readily accessible for them. Students also helped in the fall festival that took place with Project Hunger. And later this month, we'll create food boxes for Thanksgiving with Project Hunger as well. We are hosting a blood drive next Friday throughout the school day, and we currently have 80 donors. SSAC, last month's agenda and issues at hand were discussed with Dr. Lee. An action plan is underway for a Hall of Honor for the Performing Arts. Middle school principals came in to help set an agenda for next month's plan to meet with students from Barr, Walnut, and Westridge. The council acknowledged that the transition from middle school to high school is difficult in importance, and the importance of the freshman year and pertaining to activities and clubs to promote a more rich high school experience. One thing that stuck with me was one of the principal's concern for integrating all students, not just the high achieving students, to be able to build a more reputable reputation of the students we have at JPS and eliminate students not being able to get involved without their participation in academic rigor. Students' highlights. Another student created a platform for students to be able to sell their arts called Bijou. That started with $500 student money. It splits commission 60 for the artist and 30 for the business, and 10 for surrounded art communities. Another business that was able to start was Osborne Wicks, which made $150. Sales took place during parent-teacher conferences as well. Freshmen are very excited to be participating in off-site tours for pathways as they begin to choose their decisions for their respective pathways and move through the academy model.
All right, thank you very much. And are you busy getting those scholarships done?
Yes.
Well, good luck with all that. We know it's hard, but it's worth it. All right, we will move to with maybe, oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jurgens.
Is that okay?
Yes, you can ask a question.
Isabella, I just wanted to, again, thank you for coming on as our student representative. We really appreciate that you're here. And since you shared about the gratitude, was it called the gratitude tree or, yeah? Just since it's the month of Thanksgiving, what is something you are thankful for?
Books. I love reading, so I definitely wrote reading and getting literature involved. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
And of course, you guys for all the hard work you do.
Thank you. That's awesome. All right. 9.6, the superintendent report.
Okay, thank you. And Isabel, I did get a chance to see the display that you all have from UNK, and just outstanding. What a wonderful report. There was a lot of rich information.
There was.
Thank you for sharing. So just a couple of updates. First of all, I want to take the opportunity to introduce our new Director of Strategic Communications and Marketing, Mitch Roush. Would you come up, please? We are just excited to have him in Grand Island Public Schools. And I think we were all kind of blown away with the research that he had conducted on Grand Island Public Schools and his vision for how to continue to engage our students, our community, and help us get information out about everything that's happening with our students. We've already put him to the test since he's been here. He's put out a fire, seemed like every other day. So I do believe that, he can actually do the things that he said that he could do within his interview. So I want to give him the opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Grover, and thank you, board. I'm really excited to be here. I'm finishing my 4th week, and I'm still here, which is great. But I'm born and bred in Nebraska, and I'm the child of educators as well. And so I told Dr. Grover and Jennifer as well when we started our conversations about this particular role that I'm a big believer in wanting to make sure that what I do means something and then to buy into the mission of what we do. And as you all can probably attest, I had a chance to sit in a room with Dr. Grover and hear her vision for the school district and what her mission is and what the mission of the school means to her. And that was a contagious thing. And so I'm excited to get to be here and to be a part of telling the story of what our students and our innovative educators are doing in this community and to help be a part of championing the awesome diversity that you all have in this community. So it's really good to be here. And Jennifer says I can keep coming back, which is really good news for me, I guess. So I'm really happy to be here. I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything, but thank you for having me.
Well, we're happy you're here too, and thank you very much for all you've done so far, and we will keep you busy.
Yes. I don't doubt it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and I do want to give a special acknowledgement to Kelly Mayhew. She's not here tonight, but of course she was kind of carrying the show all by herself since August, and she's done a great job of helping Mitch to become acclimated, and certainly to Jennifer for her leadership. Communication is at the top of our list, and we intentionally changed that department to include stakeholder engagement. And so we're just thrilled that they are rounding out their team, and we look forward to how that's going to support the Board of Education and the rest of our administration and our campuses. Thank you to the communications department. I would also like to take the opportunity to provide a quick pandemic update. Mr. Gerhardt is going to come out. One of the things that we want to make note of would include the vaccine clinics. I'm going to let him provide some details. But of course, all of you may be aware that the vaccine has been approved for the 5 to 11-year-olds. We have put out clinics. We've already started. Dr. Dexter and Chris Vrooman have worked to organize those. We're going to share some numbers with you, but I do want to just kind of share that that's one of the biggest questions that we're getting now from the community, now that we have the vaccine available for our younger students. What does that mean going forward for our safety protocols? And so we continue to have those discussions, but it's always good to keep the data in front of you so that you can understand how we are making decisions. Mr. Gerhardt.
All right, thank you very much. This evening I'll be pretty quick. The first information I wanted to share was that big picture that I showed last month. This looks really red and looks really ominous, but the good news is you'll notice what's happening in the southeast. The numbers are going back down. So that's promising because if you remember, the way this seems to travel, it's in waves. It comes from the coast, it comes into the center of the country, and then it goes back out. So good news when we see the other regions start to behave in the way that we want to be here in the near future. This was a comparison. So this is the data that I showed last month at the board meeting. We used Hall County versus Nebraska versus Louisiana. You'll see the spike in with Louisiana, and they've come down. This is what that same graph looks like this month. So they continued to drop. We peaked, and then we're kind of in this weird, we call it smoldering pattern, right? So we unfortunately, last month we were pretty excited as we saw the way things were going. We had done some projections. We're hoping that things would be much better by Thanksgiving, but we've just kind of held tight in that approximately 200, 220 cases area. So this is the vaccination percent fully vaccinated in Hall County versus Nebraska. So we're still, struggling a little bit with that overall. This was today's dashboard from the health department. Case count in the community is still at about 263 per 100,000. Of course, the number we keep talking about is 50. Positivity rate's still high. It's been higher, but we want to see that continue to decline. This is something that was a little concerning. I don't know that we were really expecting it because typically when you peak and then you wait about 3 weeks, you see hospitalizations go up, but we actually saw a pretty big spike in hospitalizations in the Central District this last week, up to levels that we really hadn't seen since about a year ago. And, again, keep in mind that's those outlying communities that are sending their sick folks into Grand Island, and we send our sicker folks into Lincoln and Omaha. So it's not necessarily meaning that all the hospitalizations come directly from Hall, Hamilton, and Merrick, but it does mean that our hospital rates and the fill rate for our hospitals are going up. So we are watching that closely. This is the Hall County specific case rate. So you saw earlier that it was about 263 per 100,000. That was the Tri-County. We're actually faring a little bit better. We're at 202. But you'll see what we're talking about. We had that peak, and then back in October, you could see where if you put a trend line on it, it looked like it was going to continue to head down, and we unfortunately have just bounced, and now we're we're at that 200 level and kind of sticking right around plus or minus about 25 on that. Here's a tracking of cases that we're known positives within Grand Island Public Schools. That last one is this week, so as the week goes on, that continues to go up. So, but right now, for being 4 days in, we're doing pretty decent. And then vaccination amongst employees. So this is just a breakdown of the current overall vaccination rate by classified certified administrative staff, and then the total. So we're sitting about 69%. In the order there, it's 61% of classified staff, 73% of certified, and 87% of administrators are currently vaccinated. So our numbers comparison, you know, we talked about that cases per day. I think we were close to 6.8 when we started this conversation 3 months ago. It's slowly declining. Last month we were at 272 cases, and we're still climbing. So we've added about 100 total cases in the last 30 days. And then absences. So we track this as an indicator because when that positivity rate's so high, one thing we notice is just that hesitancy to go get tested. And so when people are calling out from work and calling out from school, we track those numbers, and what we're seeing is it does kind of follow what the community case rates are. Of course, we know this is not all related to that. You'll have a certain number of folks that are ill no matter what, but just another indicator, because unfortunately we know that we can't get all the known positive cases. So, and that's it for this evening. Anything, questions or?
Court, I have one thing. Did you give the vaccine numbers for the students for 5-11 year?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know.
I think I have them, but do you have them?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. If they're wrong, it's your fault. No, just kidding. So I know people are probably wondering about that, so I just wanted to share that we had the clinics at all 3 middle schools at this point, and showing 177 vaccines were administered. This includes children as well as staff and families. November the 29th will be our next clinic. So you just kind of think about that across 3 middle schools with a mixed bag.
And overall, in the 12 to 18, I think Hall County's sitting at about 12%. So, but if we get to count all those numbers, that's close to 3% of our students in that K6 range. So that's progress for week 1.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Did you have anything else? All right, thank you. We will move to action items. 10.1 is the Grand Island Education Association. We looked at this last month. This is the letter to recognize the Grand Island Education Association as the bargaining unit for the 2022-2023 contract year. Did you have anything else you wanted to add? No, unless somebody has questions. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Okay. Motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Grand Island Public Schools recognizes GIEA as the exclusive bargaining agent for the 2023-2024 contract year for the unit it presently represents.
And is there a second? Second, Mr. Barsonis. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes. Thank you. 10.2 excuse me, is the pay increase for substitute nutrition services personnel. Dr. Schroeder, is there any additional information you want to share with us?
The only additional information is that the proposed increase is larger than it was last month. What Ms. Spellman would like to do is give those people service credit for the number of years that they've been substituting. And so that increased the total proposed increase to $6,000. But the lunch fund, nutrition fund is in very good shape, and we reviewed that in facilities and finance, and they support.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions or about last month's presentation or this change? No? Do I have a motion? Mr. Barsonis?
Make a motion to approve the pay increase for nutrition services substitutes as presented.
And is there a second? I think I heard Mr. Brown first, probably just because of proximity. So any discussion? Please vote. All right, motion passes. Thank you. For reports, we are doing this a little bit differently, and we're approving the reports in the consent agenda, but we do want to highlight the Grand Island Public Schools Foundation report. Mrs. Jurgens.
Thank you. The October meeting was held on the 20th of October at 5:15 via Zoom. The Foundation Board approved 5 classroom mini grants totaling $5,457 in the round 1 review. These grants will impact 1,830 students. The second round of grants will be due at the end of January. The foundation hosted a scholarship essay workshop for Gish seniors and their parents on November 10th in the I cannot read today. I apologize. I got up very early today, so I'm trying hard here. And their parents on November 10th in the Little Theater at Gish. The GIPS Foundation is partnering with Gear Up and the Greater Grand Island Community Foundation to offer a scholarship fair for our students and parents at the Islander Annex building on Wednesday, December 1st. There will be presentations on the local scholarship applications and booths for students and parents to visit. Several college partners have agreed to be there, as well as EduQuest and Gish Academy principals and the counselors. We are providing boxed meals and a scholarship drawing. It should be a fun night to learn about local scholarships. I really, really hope our students take us up on this opportunity. The Foundation's college scholarship online application will open December 1st and is accessible on our website, gipsfoundation.org. One more time, gipsfoundation.org. The Foundation hired GIPS alumna Alicia Lechner for our new position, Annual Giving Coordinator. Very exciting. Ms. Lechner has worked for GIPS for 5 years and is the current Gish cheerleading coach. Her responsibilities will include designing and executing annual fundraising campaigns, grant management, and special events. We are excited to have her on our team. The Foundation will be launching our annual community fundraising campaign themed GRIT. That's the Grand Island Tenacity. The campaign will include mailings, social media, Giving Tuesday, and many other avenues to remind our stakeholders why they invest in this grit and resilience of our students. The Foundation Board will have the following business before them on the November 17th meeting. The 21 audit, fiscal year 21 audit, fiscal year 21 990, Foundation personnel policy, Foundation employee leave policy, alumni liaison contract renewal, as well as alumni oral history project contract. We did it. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. Agenda item 11.2 is our Nebraska Association of School Boards monthly update. It's there for you to look at your leisure. And a reminder, next week, most of the board members will be in Omaha attending the annual conference. It's excited to have it again this year. Agenda item 12 is the executive session for the purpose of labor relations because it is in the best interest of the public to discuss this matter in closed session. Do I have a motion? Excuse me, Mrs. Albers.
I'd like to make a motion, I'd like to recommend for the board to convene to executive session for the purpose of discussing labor relations.
And is there a second? Second, Dr. Brose. Please vote. All right, motion passes. Thank you. Are we all back? Okay, so I have okay, go ahead, make it. Yep.
I make a motion to reconvene.
Is there a second? Second, Mr. Helinski, please vote. Yes, okay, motion passed. Upcoming board meetings, the next one is December 9th.